Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Roxanne. We are backstage at Reading Leeds Festival 2022. Fever 333 play tonight. Jason joins me now. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you.
It's good to see you, man. It's good to see you. Let's start with the obvious question. Reading yesterday, I was just telling you, we saw those pictures. It looked absolutely outrageous. Lots of fire. Talk me through that show, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess it was supposed to be. It's as much as it is a live decision and you know, an energy builder. It was actually supposed to serve as a, I don't know, like a symbolic moment. I really believe that this is the end of this era and iteration of Fever 333. So it was sort of like, you know, almost like a cleansing, I guess, a burning, a destruction, all in one.
Yeah.
So that's what that was for. Yeah.
Man, that's interesting. End of an era, end of this iteration. That's an interesting way of putting it. I mean, we'll get into the future there in a second, but I guess, how have you been reflecting on this era now? You know, obviously, kind of EP was a little bit while back now and everything. You kind of had a bit of time to sit with it, and finally getting the songs in front of the people as well, which has got to be nice.
Yeah. I reflecting on it, I just see there's a lot more work to do, and there's a lot of ways to do it, and there's different ways to offer it up and to deliver it, and for myself to perceive the approach. So I've actually been, you know, I spent the better part of the last 2 years doing that, you know, writing an album, finishing an album, and learning a lot about my own approach artistically, but also, you know, ideologically and everything in between.
Man, exciting times ahead, I'm sure. Exciting times ahead. Well, I want to mention, before we get into new music and all that kind of thing, some of the other stuff you've been working on, because you're a busy man. I first want to mention, I mean, an act that you've mentored for so long that we obviously love at Roxanne, which is Nova Twins, having the best year of theirs so far. They always speak so highly of you and getting to work alongside you. What's it been like getting to kind of show them a route at this early stage in their career?
They're the best. I mean, they really are. They're exactly what rock and roll needs. They're two young black women playing guitars in ways that no one has heard yet, and, you know, playing music in ways that no one have heard yet, and performing and offering a space. And I mean, it's to me personally, it's perfect. it's everything I want out of a music that was bred from, you know, being challenging and confronting and progressive. You know, being POC in this scene currently is an act of defiance. It's like this sort of inherently punk rock thing, and for them to go out and not only represent but to conquer in the way they do is just amazing. It's perfect to me. So it's just inspiring, if nothing else, for me.
I mean, it's you know, I've got to say, it's very, very admirable the way you run the kind of records crew and all that kind of stuff. Thanks. Because it's like you're giving them the space to do their thing. You know what I mean? It's more a mentorship thing rather than like a traditional label relationship or anything like that.
Yeah, for me it is, right? Like, if I'm like speaking like selfishly, for me, because I love it. I love the energy shared between myself and other, or especially I'm saying this objectively and not like as self-centered as it sounds. I need to see myself in every artist we sign.
Okay.
And I mean that because, like, I remember how much I was willing to sacrifice to give up. Mark actually remembers that too, where I would do anything to get the art and the message across the line. And so that's probably one of the foremost, you know, attributes that I look for in any artist. So when we sign, or when they sign, it's a partnership, and it's something that I can understand because I see myself in it. I go, okay, I know the valleys and the peaks, and I know the pitfalls, and I know the joys. So let's figure this out together, rather than me telling them what they need to do. And also, I just think it's crazy when a label will sign an act based on what they see, and then ask them to do something different than what they signed. I think that's insane.
Yeah. There's a reason you were interested in the first place, is because it's what they're already doing. That's interesting you say that, like, needing to see a little bit of yourself in there, because, like, that could be about, you know, shared values, a bit of a hunger for it, whatever it is. But I guess I imagine with each artist, that's got to sort of manifest in a kind of different way,
every
right?
Every time, you know, especially with whatever type, because we have two more artists we're about to announce soon. One actually from the UK.
Oh, wow.
And they're, like, musically and sonically it might be different, but the DNA that ties it all together is there's like this essence that is 333 Records crew, and that's the piece that I look for. But again, it's represented in so many different ways, whether it be sonically, whether it be the performance, whether it be, I don't know, culturally, like where they are, where they're from. And so I don't know, and it's almost like, it sounds corny, but it's like that thing you just can't explain, right? That, like, X factor that I can just see, but I can't really explain what it is.
You know it when you see it. That's
Yeah,
always
yeah,
the way, isn't
yeah,
it? You know it when you see it, you can pick up on it. A couple other things I want to mention as well, like that you've been kind of doing on the side. I had a lovely chat with Jacoby Shaddix recently,
yeah,
and
my
he
man.
was just singing your praises. Absolutely loved you appearing on the track. What was that experience like for you?
It was cool. It was crazy. I was in New Zealand when we did it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was during the pandemic. I moved to New Zealand with my family. My wife's from there, and they hit me up, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to write on this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." Like if I was, maybe it was like to help assist with some part of it or producing or whatever. So, yeah, cool, whatever. And then I did it, and that was sort of the jump off for the song. And then they're like, "Actually, do you want to just be on it?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." Because when I did it too, the way I did it, like my verse was quite particular to how I perform on a track, like the way I did it. So I guess like for me to do, so I don't often do that when I like write I try to make it so someone else could sing it. But this one I actually just like went in almost exactly how I would approach it.
Yeah.
And then I guess that, stimulated them to go, "Hey, do you want to be a part of it?" And I did.
Nice
I did
to
want
see
be
what
part of it.
success it was as well. It's nice that keeps kicking off that track.
Yeah,
It really
yeah,
makes a lot of sense. I also saw as well, speaking of your kind of contemporaries and these amazing artists, you hopping on stage with Deftones recently.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, bucket list as a performer, I'm sure, because what a
yeah.
legendary act. But yeah, tell me about how that one came together.
It didn't. It just came together in that moment.
Right,
Like, there was
okay.
no lead up. I was kicking it with them, and in my old band Let Live, we toured with them, and I was just standing on stage, just watching, literally just by myself, watching them, and Chino was like, just pointing. He's like, "Come sing." I was like, "Fuck." So I had a windbreaker on and a pass, and I'd take all my shit off, and I'd run up, and that was it. And then
Oh my God.
And the thing is it's funny, right? He must know, like, I'm an obsessive fan,
Right.
Because what if I didn't know the song? Like he just said, "Come up." I said,
Come on up, man.
"Yeah, dude,
and then just flatline.
And I was like, "Well, good fucking thing I know the song." So
man,
it
he
worked.
must have known the success. God, that's the best way to do an on-stage
Yeah.
collab
Oh,
in
it
the
was-
last possible second. I love
It's
that.
my favorite way. I think that's like I felt like a fan. Like, I mean, I am a fan, but I felt like I was in the crowd. I felt like
Yeah.
I never met him, and I felt like he called me like that moment in where they do the iris lens that like focuses on the fan, and it's me, and he pulls me up. That's what it felt like.
Me in the spotlight.
Yeah,
at
yeah.
last?
I was like,
oh
"Here
my
we go."
God,
Yeah.
that's so
Had my
cool, man.
moment.
I
Yeah.
love that. We've mentioned, of course, you're thinking about what this next era is going to look like. I know you're
Yeah.
not going to necessarily want to give too much away here, but how much are you kind of playing with in terms of new ideas? What kind of stage are we at?
Yeah, I mean, everything. I've got it all. I'm literally designing our new stage outfits and merchandise in the bus, like right now, and I'm putting together the video that we're directing, and I mean, it's there. I think the best way to describe this is a very ostensible explanation and observation of the intersection of my, from the hood to punk rock and all things around it, right? Like I found a way to give what I think is the most accurate, tasteful presentation of that intersection. And so for me, it's really like the last works were very observational and like objectively observational. I'm like, this is what I see, this is what I've read, this is what I've been taught. And this album this is why I feel this. I
Right.
feel this because I had this experience. I feel this because I'm from here. I feel this because I was put in jail. I feel like this, my public defender told me that she can't help me. It's my word against this police officer, and you're probably going to jail. Like that. It's like my just most authentic, honest conversation I can have with people about why I feel, and that at which point no one can really take that from me, right? That's
Yeah.
literally my experience.
Wait, so that sounds like your most like autobiographical work you've done so
It
far.
is
That's really
actually.
interesting.
It is, because it's actually quite direct versus like even in my last band where it was like much more metaphoric. Like I was, using a lot of metaphor and different types of devices, literary devices, but skirting around some things because I wanted to be more artsy, or I didn't want to be as vulnerable.
Yeah.
This one, I'm like, this is what happened. I literally say, I got thrown in jail, I had kids, I got in fights, I won, I lost. Just very direct. This is my
Yeah.
experience. So, but in saying that, it's an offering to the culture. It's an offering to, like, obviously punk rock, hardcore, metal, all that shit, but very much representing POC culture and how we have not only been a part of it, but what we've offered to these things that have been kind of forgotten and that I think are quite beautiful and unique.
Man, fascinating story. I'm really
Yeah.
intrigued to hear what you're going to make of that musically, man. It's really exciting. Well, before I let you go and get ready for the show, we should, of course, mention, kind of just announced last couple of days, you're coming back to the UK, which is always very exciting.
Yes.
Big UK tour. So with a project that personal that you're kind of at that stage developing, how much have you been thinking about how that looks on stage and what this next kind of touring cycle looks like for you?
This is the end. This today is the last time you'll see Fever like this.
Wow.
I've been thinking about it for 2 years. So you will never see Fever like this again. It's done.
But what does that mean, Jason? What does that mean?
I guess you'll have to see. No, I mean, it'll be everything from like our actual aesthetic presentation to the music itself to the production, what we call these, no longer demonstrations or demos. They'll be called functions. Like, it's all like a new cultural, almost like a turning of the page. Yeah.
Man, so excited to see it. Well, yeah, we can't wait to see you back in the UK. Good luck with the show tonight. I'm sure you're going to
brother.
absolutely smash it like you did
Thanks,
last
man.
night. Yeah, we'll catch up again soon, I'm
Hell
sure,
yeah,
right?
brother. Thanks, man.
Good to see you, man. Jason, everybody.
Thanks, man.